You know, a degree means something to me, but experience kind of means more, and a point of view of where people want to go kind of mean more than somebody saying I have a master's from Harvard or whatever. No, I need to know, are you ready to go to war with me?
Right. And what do you look for when you're hiring people other than that, you know, ready to go to war? What are the other kind of criteria?
Somebody that is not intimidated, and they're not doing it just as a job. They're doing it as a part of their life, and they're also doing it for a higher purpose, just bigger than them. They really want to make whatever they're involved in affect people in a positive way, and then they also have the passion to handle what it's going to take to get the job done. Because nothing's going to be easy, especially now. Nothing's going to be easy, especially now, and it's going to be a lot of pain involved. There's going to be a lot of pain involved. But, you know, at the end of the day, there's also a lot of celebration when you accomplish your goals. But, you know, at the end of the day, there's also a lot of celebration when you accomplish your goals.
One of the biggest lessons that I've learned in life is that you cannot achieve success without failure. You cannot achieve success without failure. What are you going to do now? So I had two choices. Either I was going to sit in that failure and give up, or I was going to make a decision to step out of the darkness. You see, when you're in that darkness, you want to sit there and wait for the light to come. When you're in that darkness, it feels uncomfortable, but you can't wait and sit in that darkness. The only way out is to step forward, to face your fears, to become your own light. I had to make a decision. I had to decide to become my own light. I had to believe in myself like never before. I had to find my inner power. Don't be afraid to close your eyes and dream, but then open your eyes and see. Don't be afraid to close your eyes and dream, but then open your eyes and see. For a lot of people, the distance between their dreams and their reality is intimidating, and they get stuck. They get paralyzed. For a lot of people, the distance between their dreams and their reality is intimidating, and they get stuck. They get paralyzed. And the only way forward is to be real about what it's going to take for you to achieve those dreams. You have to be honest with yourself. You have to tell yourself the truth of what it's going to take for you to be successful. It doesn't come easy. It doesn't come easy. It doesn't come easy. You're going to have to go out there and get it. You're going to have to go out there and get it. You're going to have to go out there and get it. Nobody's going to give you nothing. There's no rescue team coming, no National Guard, no aid coming, nothing. You're going to have to go out there and get it. Nobody's going to give you nothing. There's no rescue team coming, no National Guard, no aid coming, nothing. You're going to have to go out there and get it. The only way forward is to decide that you want that dream so bad that you are going to work harder, you're going to get up earlier, you're going to stay later, you're going to push past the people who doubted you and laughed at you and hated on you. That's what I want for you. I want you to be fearless. I want you to be decisive. I want you to make a decision right now that when you fail and you fall to your knees, I want you to remember the power of you, and I want you to get back up on your feet. Make a decision today that when you're in the darkness, you'll remember the power of you. You are your own light. You are powerful. But before I conclude, I want you to remember three things. Number one, I want you to never be afraid to make a decision. Be decisive. Don't be afraid to fail. Don't be afraid to fail. Don't be afraid to fail. Be fearless. Number two, I want you to remember the power of you. You got to feel that power. You got to believe in that power. You have that power, trust me. And last but not least, number three, can't stop, won't stop. Can't stop, won't stop.
If you were starting from scratch, from the beginning of your career, and trying to build the career that you have today, where would you begin?
You know, I also would be kind of intimidated by the competition, because Everybody's trying to be the next Steve Jobs. Everybody's trying to be the next Steve Jobs. So my advice to future entrepreneurs is to always know the reality. Know what you're getting yourself into. My advice to future entrepreneurs is to always know the reality. Know what you're getting yourself into. Know how hard it's going to be, how competitive it's going to be. But even with that being said, I think there's more chances today than ever to get seen and heard. The people that really, really work hard and really, really believe in themselves and really, really don't give up on their dreams no matter how many times they fall down. Or the people that really, really work hard and really, really believe in themselves and really, really don't give up on their dreams no matter how many times they fall down are the ones that's going to be successful. The ones that's going to be successful. Work hard and really, really believe in themselves and really, really don't give up on their dreams no matter how many times they fall down are the ones that's going to be successful.
Because one of the things I really believe in is that all change happens in an instant. That's it. Change doesn't take a long time. It's a misconception. It's got to be painful and costly and drag on forever. Change, when you're ready, is in a heartbeat. What takes a long time is feeling enough pain in your life until you get ready to change. I was pretty much a born entrepreneur from the time I emerged from my mother's womb. At 8 years old, I had a paper route. I was knocking on doors and expanding it, making money. At 10 years old, I was shoveling driveways after snowstorms. And I do not come from a rich family, but I come from a really good family. My mother, from the time I was in the high chair getting applesauce, she was saying to me, the only noble way to become wealthy is to be a doctor. You got to be a doctor. You got to be a doctor. And it's almost like hypnosis. She inserted this belief in my mind that I should be a doctor. I didn't want to be a doctor. And at first I was reluctant because I'd failed once before. And I think probably many of you know this feeling. When you fail, sometimes you tend to take it personally. Like, not I failed, but I am a failure. I am not meant to be in business for myself. I don't have what it takes. All these false limiting beliefs that sometimes people get. Many of us have probably gotten them in this room. I know I have. And because of that, I was reluctant at first. I stumbled upon a book just by chance called Bonfire of the Vanities, written by Tom Wolfe. Some of you have probably read it. You're nodding your heads. It's an amazing book, and he is a brilliant author. Then I picked up a highlighter and started highlighting things, looking for patterns. And I used the book as a textbook to teach myself to write. Because there's always patterns in everything. There's patterns in writing. There's patterns in human behavior. There's patterns that lead people to success and fulfillment. And there's patterns that lead people to failure and feeling empty and sadness and depression and anger. There's patterns for everything in life. And I patterned Tom Wolfe. I modeled. It's an important word. Modeled Tom Wolfe's writing style. And slowly my writing began to improve. Finally, I had about 300 pages and I was ready to get out of jail. And I said, you know what? Not good enough. And I ripped them all up. And out of sheer desperation, and I say desperation, not like desperate for money, but desperation to make sense of my life, I started writing again. I said, let me just try by chance to call an agent. I knew some guy very casually. Called him and said, hey, Joel, I want to write my life story. He's like, oh, great story. Let's get a ghostwriter. I said, no, I want to write it myself in my voice and tell the story the way I want to tell it. I'm going to Random House tomorrow. It's a company I had a relationship with. I'm going to sell this book. And that he did. Sold the book to Random House. The book was then immediately sold to Australia. And then before the book was even published, when the manuscript was done, Hollywood caught wind of it, and a bidding war started. So I started going to my motivational rap and the whole thing about taking action and looking at your problem and not looking at your problem, looking at the solution. And I was running what's called an unconscious strategy. Sometimes we do things really, really well, but we do them so well, we don't even know how we're doing them. We just have a strategy. It flows. It comes from inside you. You don't have to think about it. The founder of the modern day self-development industry, and his name is Dr. Richard Bandler. And he invented a technology called neuro-linguistic programming. And what it was is the study of success, the study of modeling. What makes people succeed? What makes people fail? What are the techniques? How does the brain work? The psychology of success. That being said, I went down to Bandler, total immersion, stayed there, and I tapped his brain, and it changed my life. These 4 things. And when you do them at a really, really high level, you can perform off the charts. Now, the first thing he said, though, which really stuck in my mind, was your biggest problem is that your mother never gave you your owner's manual. Imagine this. You went to the computer store, you bought a laptop, and you never got an instruction manual on how to use it. How many things could you possibly use on this computer? Maybe if you're lucky, you get on the internet, bang out a couple of functions, but without a manual, an instruction guide, you're never going to be able to even tap into this much potential of a computer. And your brain, my brain, your brains, human brains, are far more powerful than even the most powerful supercomputer invented by NASA, the NSA. Doesn't matter, not in the same league, yet we never got owner's manuals. We have old software playing in our minds that we have to wait for certain things to happen to feel good. It's the emotions that we feel that dictate the quality of our life. The truth of the matter is that shit happens. This bumper, right, we know from tonight. Shit happens. You're walking along doing everything right, and wham, you get hit in the eyes with a lump of kangaroo shit. Just like that, boom, and everything is unraveling before you. That's what happens. And then we tend to tell ourselves a story about why we don't have what we have. This is what I did. We tell ourselves a story of why we don't have what we have, when in truth, the only thing that stops us from getting what we want is the story we tell ourselves of why we can't have it. Because the story stops us from seeing the truth. Unless you know the truth, you can't go anywhere. If you have a map, imagine your life as a map, perfect map. If you don't know the starting point and you set a goal, which is your ending point, how can you get there if you're not truthful with yourself? So my philosophy is this, it always was, is see things as they are, but not worse than they are. So see things as they are, not worse than they are, then see them better than they are, and make them that way. The four things that allowed me to really succeed at the highest level were this. Number one was the ability to manage people's state. Your physiological, emotional state, which is how you feel in the moment. It's not an ability thing, it's not talent, it's the state that you're in. The physiological, emotional state. And there are two things that control the state that we're in. And the first is the physiology that we have, how we hold our body and move our body. How to do depression is hardwired into our nervous system. The same way happiness is hardwired. People will turn the corners of their mouth up. They'll breathe deeply. They'll look straight up. There's a happy physiology. You put a smile on your face, which is the cliche, but the truth of the matter is that when you do that, you create chemical changes in your brain through endorphins and enkephalins, and you feel better. But that's not most of the software that we have. We've been taught to, if things are going bad, you got to frown. Then you're done. Act as if you're a wealthy man, rich already, and you will become wealthy. Act as if you have all the answers, and the answers will come to you. Act as if you have unmatched confidence, and you will become confident. Act as if. I was told to act the physiology of wealth, of confidence, of success, because you generate the emotion like that. That's the first part of state management, because where focus goes, energy flows. Here's just as a quick example. Everyone just look around the room and look for blue. Okay, now everybody please close your eyes just for a second. And now with your eyes closed, tell me everything in the room that you see that's red. Now open your eyes and look for red, look for red, look for red, look for red, look for red. You see a lot more red now. Why? Because you're looking for it. There's a portion of our brain called the reticular activating system that chooses what we're going to focus on. And once you ignite that RAS, the reticular activating system, you will see what you're looking for and block out everything else. So if you're focusing on the negative, on your problems, the opportunities go right over your head. When someone's living in the problem and not the solution, this is what they're doing. They're seeing only the red and making stuff up that's not even red and crashing right into it. Inserting empowering beliefs and breaking down the limiting beliefs, because nothing is more destructive to success than limiting beliefs. Empowering beliefs lead to a lifetime of joy and happiness, and disempowering beliefs lead to a life of quiet desperation. It's the way it is. You cannot rise above the level of your limiting beliefs. Crack those limiting beliefs. And the way you do it is very simple, because a belief is nothing but an idea that you're really certain about. We are not our past experiences. We are the capabilities and the resources that we've gleaned from them. Shit happens to people. You make huge mistakes, but you're not those mistakes. You're not your bankruptcy. You're not your failure. What you are is the lessons that you've learned from that you can use now. You're the resources that you've gleaned from that you could use now. When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. And it's true. You go back to any belief. Is it the end or is it the beginning? Is God punishing me or is God giving me the opportunity of a lifetime? Vision is what drives any company, any individual forward in life. You know, where do our beliefs come from? They start from our parents. But the most destructive belief that was ever installed in my mind, greed is good. Greed's not good. It's ambition. That's good. Passion. That's good. That's what's good. Ambition's behind growth, behind contribution, to make things better for everyone around you and yourself. I didn't have that distinction in my life, and it destroyed me. See, it doesn't matter how motivated you are, how much belief you have in yourself. If you're doing things ass backwards, you're not going to succeed. When you do something, don't just do it, haphazardly. You need to have a formula. What a strategy is this? You do something once and you succeed, it could be an accident. You do it twice, you've got a strategy. The easiest way to develop a strategy for success is to model somebody else that's already successful. By modeling someone that was successful, you turn decades into days. Strategy is everything when it comes to success. I raised their standards of what they thought they needed in life. What our standards are is this: there are musts. We always get our musts, but we seldom get our shoulds. We seldom get our shoulds, but we always get our musts. So the idea is to raise your standards is to turn your shoulds into musts. When you have poor standards, you're doing everything poorly. You don't commit to your job. You do it the second someone turns around. You stop doing your job. You do the littlest to get by. That's poor standards at the bottom. The next level up is good standards, and it's a giant leap. It's a giant leap. Now, the next level up from good is another giant leap up to excellent standards. And that's when you're doing everything at the highest level possible. We have excellent standards. You're doing your job. You're trying to get the best out of life in all levels, in business, personally. Poor standards are at the bottom. It's a giant leap from poor to good. Another giant leap from good to excellent. At the level above excellent, which is extraordinary standards, it's only 2 millimeters away. Because there are two types of people in customer service. You have ducks and you have eagles. And the ducks are the worst people to have in customer service because they just waddle around trying to get by doing as little as possible, and they never try to help you. The girl who on the phone, she was a duck. Quack, 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 they're not going to help you ever. And eagles want to soar. Standards of life.
What do you think overall is the most important thing for new entrepreneurs right now?
Just to go after it. I mean, the thing about being an entrepreneur is it's just all to you. A lot of people like to make excuses. I don't have connections, I don't have money, I don't have this. But, if you find something that you like to do or love to do, be great at it and see if you can turn it into a business. In worst case, you're going to have fun doing what it is you love to do. In best case, you can turn it into a business. I'm just not big on excuses. I just think if everybody has that opportunity to go for it. They just got to do it.
Well, a lot of people say it's hard to get a loan right now if you're a small business owner or you're trying to come up with an idea. How do you get the capital to start that business?
Well, first of all, if you're starting a business and you take out a loan, you're a moron. Right, because there's so many uncertainties involved with starting a business, yet the one certainty that you'll have to have is paying back your loan. And the bank doesn't care about your business, or whoever you borrow from, unless it's family, doesn't care about your business. And so it's just a complete conflict. So what's your small business entrepreneur? 99% of small businesses you can start with next to no capital. It's more about effort. Small businesses don't fail for lack of capital. They fail for lack of brains. They fail for lack of effort. Most people just aren't willing to put in the time to work smart. I mean, they go for it in a lot of cases, but they just don't recognize how much work's involved. And if you do the preparation, if you start a business, you better know your industry and your company better than anyone in the whole wide world, because you're competing. And to think that whoever it is you're competing with is just going to let you come in and take their business, obviously that's naive. And I think most people don't recognize that. If you're going to compete with me in one of my businesses, you better realize that I'm working 24 hours a day to kick your ass. You hire smarter kids. You hire smarter people to write software, to put things in the cloud, to find new solutions. And so we're turning into an economy that is bifurcated. There's those people who write and control and define the software, and then there's those people who work for the software. Real-time social media drives real-time viewing on TV, and live events on TV drive social media.
I always look at business as a sport. In football, you play 60 minutes. Basketball, you play 48 minutes. In business, it's 24/7/365, and the whole world's trying to kick your ass.
he sat me down. He said, look, I've got this idea where I think we can listen to Indiana basketball sporting events, you know, anywhere in the world by using the internet.
So Mark and I just basically said, let's find out if this is a business or not. So we set up shop in his upstairs bedroom of his house and, you know, got us a computer, got the software, and started playing with it. And that is the birth of AudioNet, what eventually became Broadcast.com.
But another young entrepreneur tells a different story. Chris Jabe says he was also a founder of the company.
When I was pretty young, I was a Minnesota Twins fan. I moved to Texas. So as a displaced fan, I was always trying to figure out how to get access to those games that I couldn't see on regular TV. When the internet came along, it's like it was a slam dunk, because now it was just a matter of acquiring broadcast rights.
He took his plan to investors. One of them was Cuban.
I probably had this pitch that I'd given to maybe 150 people over the previous year and a half to 2 years. And so I'm getting into my pitch. It's usually about a 20-minute pitch, and within 3 minutes he goes, I'm in, I'll do it.
Jabe asked for $1 million and said that Cuban wrote a check for $10,000 and months later tried to cut him out completely.
Mark said, Chris, I really don't need you. You really don't have that much to add. I can pretty much do or get people to do what you're doing. So I was a little bummed, to say the least. And I really give Todd a lot of credit. When he came to me and said, you know, we can work a deal with, you know, for $2,500 a month and 10% of the company, in the way he described it and the way he showed me the paperwork, I knew it was real. And it really made me feel really good, actually, even though it was hard to take 10% of a company that I developed 100% from scratch.
Cuban became the driving force of AudioNet.
Mark overall really wanted to see it as his company. He had made it, gone from really an idea to reality. He never really wanted to acknowledge me as a founder.
But co-founder Todd Wagner does acknowledge Jabe's participation.
He was there for a very brief period of time, and then he went on to the next thing. He owned a slug of equity and did just fine.
Jeff Swaney is an entrepreneur and friend of Cuban's from Dallas.
I will never forget talking to Mark about, you know, where are you going with this broadcast thing? And he goes, I'm going to the BBC, Billionaire Boys Club. You're not going to make $1 billion on this thing. I mean, you're going to make $100 million. No, dude. No. BBC, dude. That's what I'm doing.
In pursuit of that billion, Cuban and Wagner led the charge straight to the executive offices of Yahoo.
I remember Mark and I going into the conference room and basically just saying, look, we're where you guys need to be. So you're either going to have to compete with us or you're going to have to buy us, because we are big players in where we think the internet's going to go.
Looking for an answer, in April 1999, Yahoo grabbed Broadcast.com for a staggering sum, $5.7 billion in stock. The deal secured Cuban's membership in that billionaires club.
One of the great companies in Silicon Valley, Yahoo, comes in and acquires this little old company that was set up in Deep Ellum, Dallas, Texas. It couldn't have been, frankly, scripted any better.
Yahoo struggled with their new acquisition.
It's pretty simple to see what happened if you're on the inside. You had a $5 billion acquisition, handed to a number of NBAs who had never actually integrated anything before.
Yahoo really took a pounding. They took their eye off the ball of search, which opened the door for Google, who smoked them.
Within months of the buyout, Cuban protected his stock by buying puts and calls against his interest and began to cash out, buying a 24,000 square foot mansion and a $41 million jet.
Well, you get there through, one, believing in yourself. We believed what we did was the very, very best. And it goes on the premise, if you realize that you're going to run across a lot of rejection. I say this time in and time out. Be prepared for the rejection. No matter how bad it is, don't let it overcome you or influence you. Keep on going towards what you want to do no matter what. No matter whether your bills are paid, not paid, someone says no 1,000 times. Again, go back to be as enthusiastic on door number 100 as you were on door number 1. But believe in yourself. And it's really all about knowing you have a great service or a great product that'll put you in the reorder business. So you're never selling, you're trying to get it in someone's hands, whether it's a service or a product, knowing it's so darn good that they're going to want to order it again or tell a friend about it to order. And that's the real secret there. You could also have the best product in the world, but unless you tell people about it, get them to use it, it's just going to sit there. So it's a combination of a couple of things. One, that product was exceptional, but then one must do what those that maybe aren't quite as successful don't want to do, whatever it takes. Work 7 days a week from early morning till late at night. A lot of rejection comes your way, overcome that rejection, and know that what you have is so good, eventually you'll get through it. Eventually, you'll get in the reorder business.
What if I don't want a job? If I'm looking to start a company, what's the first thing you're going to tell me to do? What would be your advice to someone starting off in any business who's going to make a jump into entrepreneurship?
First thing would be, in your category, make it the best you possibly can. Second thing is, have a story or excitement behind it, which is true. But in any product, let's say you want to start an envelope company, Steve, a tequila company, anything, you have to know yourself that it's the best you can do, and then you have to be willing to tell enough people until enough people say yes. Once they say yes, you have to put your personality into it. Go by and thank them. Make sure it's going well. A lot of people just shoot something out to get, can I get 1,000 customers? Where they have the first 50 or 100 and don't pay attention to them. You must pay attention to your first customers, unreal attention. It's easier to keep somebody than it is to try and get somebody new. And those person you're going to keep, those people that you're going to give the extra attention to, will be some of your best sources for recommendations because they like you and they'll tell somebody else. Long-term entrepreneurship is liking what you do, who you do it with, and who you do it for. If you're not having fun, then you're only in business to make some money. I still work. I work every single day, but I love what I do, so I have fun. So it became a lifestyle. When you're working, it becomes work. It's not fun. When you're working, it becomes part of your lifestyle because you like it, it's fun. So if an entrepreneur can make a lifestyle that they like with the people they want to deal with part of their business, it'll be long-term and it will prosper because you are having fun. Everyone's having fun.
It's all about the product. And so I feel if you have a great product, then it's not a hard sell to a spokesperson or to your consumer.
And it's not that everything worked. I failed a lot, but I never ever felt like I wouldn't be able to work hard enough to succeed. The passion I've always had for business and being an entrepreneur, some people thought, you know, it's more OCD than anything else, which I think is a great trait for an entrepreneur. When I mentioned the stamp business, I would stay up till 3, 4 in the morning, even though I had to get up and go to school, and read Lynn's Stamp News and Scott's Stamp Journals and have them all memorized and use that to give myself an edge. Even when I was in college, I'd be in the library reading business books and just looking for business biographies and just reading all I could about business. When I had Micro Solutions and, you know, I started with no money, you know, I pull all-nighters in front of borrowed computers, teaching myself software and how to program. The ultimate sport is business because you have to compete with everybody, and you have to do it 24/7 by 365 days a year forever, and there's always somebody out there trying to kick your butt. There's always somebody who looks at your business and says, I can do that better, I have a better idea, and you have to compete with that person, and all the while you have to make your customers happy, your employees happy. It's the competitive side of me that, in any entrepreneur, that I think that has to drive you.
What advice would you give small business owners?
Love what you do. I think too many people think they have to find the one idea, and there's nothing wrong with failing. There's nothing wrong with failing. You know, I've told a lot of people, it doesn't matter how many times you fail. It doesn't matter how many times you fail. If you get it right, you're an overnight success. All you gotta do is get it right one time. All you gotta do is get it right one time, and you're that overnight success. It didn't matter how many times I failed. I just kept on going and going and going. And entrepreneurs need to realize that sometimes it's not the idea. You know, it's not who you know. It's not how much money you have access to. It's really finding something that you really love to do. I failed a lot of times, and I didn't know where I'd find my success.
What is most important?
Knowing your strengths and weaknesses, and knowing what you enjoy doing. You know, if you look at it as a job, you've already lost. If you look at it as a job, you've already lost. It's not going to be your passion, and you're going to count the hours. If you look at it as something you love to do, and then you know what your strengths are, then you can leverage those strengths in your business and in helping others. And once you recognize your weaknesses, then you can work with people that complement you. You know, recognizing my weaknesses is just as important as recognizing my strengths and my core competencies, and you know, having a passion to do it.
You two are unique. Even though you're in different spheres, you've reached a level of success almost legendary. What did you do? What made you different?
I knew what I wanted to do early, and I think that's a huge advantage too. And then you don't need a lot of brains in this business. What you do need is emotional stability. You have to be able to think independently, and you have to be when you come to a conclusion, you have to really not care what other people say, and just follow the facts and follow your reasoning. It never bothered me if people disagreed with what I thought, as long as I felt I knew the facts. I stay within what I call my circle of competence. And I'm no genius, but I'm smart in spots, and I stay around those spots. I just don't have a problem if somebody says, you know, you're wrong on something. I go back and look at the facts. And that really is much more important, frankly, than having a few points of IQ or having an extra course or two in school or anything of the sort. You need emotional stability. Well, and then I read Graham's book, The Intelligent Investor, when I was at the University of Nebraska. And that just opened the whole thing up to me. Yeah.
Looking back, what were the things that broke you out of the pack in the most dramatic way possible?
In the beginning, we went to every single label, and every single label shut their door on us. The genius thing that we did was we didn't give up.
Luck. We all know hard work's essential, discipline's essential, staying power is essential, but there's that element there that you can't quantify, but you know it's there. Warren, you've had some thoughts.
Well, there's a lot of luck. I mean, just being born in the United States. And
business models.
If you got the principles, if you know what makes a good business, if you know what makes a good manager, you know, if you know what makes a good product, and you learn that in one business, there is some transference to other businesses as you go along, and you learn what things you're not going to understand. I mean, knowing what to leave out is just as important as knowing what to focus on, and learning what you're good at and what you're not good at.
You like to businesses where you say there's a moat, where the competitors can't get you. What advice would you give on?
The best moat you can have is your own talent. You know, I mean, they can't take it away from you. Inflation can't take it from you. Right. Taxes can't take it from you. Develop the habits. You've got the brain power, you got the energy, but develop the habits of success. Develop the habits of success. I encourage everybody to build your own moat around yourself. In terms of discussing issues, you should be able to discuss the other fellow's position just as well as you can discuss your own. So, I mean, that's part of thinking well, and certainly part of making good decisions in business is recognizing the poor decisions you've made.